name's Dave Crispian and I work as a relationship coach, and I help couples and individuals who are confronted with problems in their relationship or them. In particular, I work with a lot of guys who are struggling for a variety of reasons. It could be in their relationship, it could be work-related issues, or they're just struggling with a sense of their own identity. Now, not having a sense of who you are or what you stand for, or where you're heading, for that fact, it can be quite soul-destroying. And you question your capabilities and that self-talk, I don't feel worthy, or I'm a lousy partner or a lousy parent. It can really start to take its toll. Now, there's many areas that we talk about here. We talk about dealing with anger issues, we talk about midlife crisis or mental health. But today I'd like to talk more about a sense of worth or a sense of value. What gives your life purpose and meaning? And this can often result of something that's going on where you get lost along the way. We can often be our own worst critic. We tend to judge ourselves, criticise or compare ourselves to others. And when you start to do this, it can leave yourself feeling pretty bad that you just don't meet up, you're not good enough. Now, if this stirs up a lot of pain or hurt from your past or the present, know that you're not alone. This happens to many people. There could be triggers that have brought up some past issues, or it could be something you're experiencing now. And when in the past some of those remarks or comments that have been made, and they mix up with the present day issues that are going on, they can be quite impactful. And they can leave quite deep psychological scars. So those types of comments, if they're related to weakness or you feel that you've never been good enough and you can't live up to someone else's expectations, that's a heavy weight to carry. So guys that have been ridiculed or made to feel small, or they've been labelled as weak, are often carrying that large heavy cross in silence. And we talk about shame or guilt. When we're frightened, we haven't got the courage to speak up. So there are ways around that. So these labels, more often than not, can have been with us throughout our lives. And when you're struggling with that sense of identity, you think that there isn't anything that you can do. Well, there is. So if you can identify or relate to some of this, or you know someone that is experiencing some of these issues, stay tuned because I'll give you some valuable tools which you can use. Now, as a coach, I see these type of things. I bear witness to guys that feel they've never lived up of what it means to be a guy. Now, for some, it started back in early childhood. It could be when they were in primary school, it could be in high school, or it could be in work. It could be something which they've been bullied or picked on at work. But nevertheless, they're there. And they're issues which are often holding them back from progressing, not only in work, but also in life, and even in the relationships. One guy I recently worked with said that he felt he never lived up to his father's expectations. He just wasn't good enough. And he was always compared to his brother, how competitive his father used to be when he was younger. And he felt, I just felt inferior, I felt defective. I wasn't worthy to be a part of that family because I couldn't live up to the expectations. And he told me, even though that was some 30 years ago, he can still hear the voice of his father saying, "Make me proud, son. Second place is for losers, and don't disappoint me." And he said, you know how heavy that is, living with the weight of those words on your shoulders. The only time that he was recognised was when he came first, or when he was top of the class. And when he didn't feel of value. He didn't feel as if he fitted in, he wasn't good enough. So at an early age, we're conditioned. We're conditioned from experiences that we've had in our family growing up, or experiences through school. And with regards to our gender, there are certain stereotypes which we're supposed to meet. Now they're being challenged more and more today. But in general, as men, we're supposed to be tough and strong, confident. We're not supposed to show any emotions. And we're supposed to be good providers. And we're encouraged to be the more dominant sex. Females are expected to be soft and gentle, and kind and caring, homemakers. But they're allowed to be emotional. They're allowed to show feelings and emotions. Now, if these flawed models of masculinity and femininity challenge you, be true to yourself and know that you are unique. You are an individual, just like every other person on the planet. You don't have to fit perfectly into a box with a certain stereotype. With parenting, some fathers I've worked with feel conflicted because they're not conforming or bringing up their sons how they were raised. Mothers gave the hugs and showed compassion, and fathers often gave out the discipline. They were someone to be feared. And I can always remember my mum saying, "Wait till your father gets home, you'll be in for it." And I knew that as soon as that clock came round to 6 o'clock and that door opened, I'd be in for it. So he was someone to be feared. Now that model only promotes disconnection. Now if you're one of those fathers that feel challenged or uncomfortable when your son asks you for some emotional support or comfort, just think about it. Do you want him to adopt the same disconnected model? Or is it about breaking those old traditions, those old habits, and offering up or presenting something new? Because the results of that old model are the loss of closeness or the loss of connection. And I hear, "Oh, I feel awkward when my son asks for a hug or looks for words of comfort. I don't know how to or what I'm supposed to do." Now, strange as that may sound to some men don't know how to offer emotional support to their kids, or for that matter of fact, to their partner. And sometimes therein lies the problem. "Well, I'd feel uncomfortable talking about feelings and emotions to my son and to my wife. I'd feel embarrassed or ashamed. That's not what blokes are supposed to do." Are they? And that's a piece for a conversation. Now, if that's you and it's affecting the quality of your relationship, know that there are measures that you can take. So how can we offer support and show compassion and become more aware of what someone else is feeling? You guessed it, it starts with you. You've got control over your feelings, your emotions, your actions. You haven't got control over anybody else, or you shouldn't do. So it starts with you. You can show the way. So as human beings, most of us were lucky enough to be born with 2 arms and 2 legs, a brain with the ability to think and experience various sensations in our bodies. And of course, anatomically, there are obvious differences between the sexes, but when it comes down to feelings, both males and females are open to experiencing what I call the primary 7. And the primary 7 are anger, fear, guilt, joy, love, pain, and shame. Now, when I've asked, "Have you experienced the following?" I get varied responses, and they can be from anger. I get angry very easily, or I bottle it up and I don't let on what I'm feeling. It can become a problem when it starts to turn into aggression or rage. And fear. And generally I'm not supposed to be fearful, really, because I'm a guy. I'm not supposed to be afraid. Guilt. Maybe a little. I don't really know what guilt is. Joy. I spend time with my wife and my kids and they bring me joy. That's general. But a lot of guys, I can't go overboard. I can't get too carried into joy. Because it's something which, can be difficult to express. Love. In general, it's hard to show open displays in public. It's not really the done thing. So love is another one of those things that we struggle to express or we struggle to show. And pain. Well, that's pretty similar to some of the others. I'm supposed to tough it out, like fear. It's something that we just hide, or we try and water down. I'm not supposed to show I'm in pain. And shame. I feel that sometime when I can't open up, or I've said something that I shouldn't have. And that's an admission that, okay, I was wrong. And a lot of us struggle with that, to admit that we've done something wrong. For us to feel shame, we've got to allow ourselves to be vulnerable. Why do we need to address these issues now, you may be asking? Why can't we just let it be and carry on as it's always been? And that's a good question. But as a speaker for one of the large mental health organisations, I get to witness firsthand the pain and torment that a lot of guys are suffering with because they find it too challenging or frustrating. And they don't know how or where to reach out for help. Now, there are many factors that contribute to these reasons why we need to take action. Mental health, as I mentioned earlier, rates of suicide, domestic violence, on both sides. There are many reasons. So this is something that we can take action on. We can start to make a difference. Now, there are some things to do, and I mentioned that earlier, and I like to put things in a little box. And one of the areas that I work on, a starting piece, it's called the Magnificent Seven. And the Magnificent Seven is one of the first steps. For 7 days at 7 p.m, you write down the primary 7. So just let me explain. This process is about change. And let's face it, change is challenging. And we're talking about changing a lifetime of old habits or behaviours. And what I normally suggest is to either take a small notebook with you wherever you go, just the size of your phone, or you can use an app, but I prefer if you wrote down in a journal. It tends to sink in more if you actually physically write, the act of writing. And I'd like you to also set an alarm in your phone for 7 p.m. as a reminder. And when that alarm goes off, just journal how you've experienced throughout the day that primary 7. So take note of those primary 7. The anger, the fear, the guilt, the joy, love, pain and the shame. And what I'd like you to do is to give them a value. Out of 0 to 10. 0 being I didn't experience that. And 10 is the top end. So until next time, take care.